Okay, hello, yes, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV. And yes, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to epoxy the beams of the Hobie 16 onto the boat to make the boat as stiff as possible. Before we start, I'm just going to put the beams on the boat, well, the front beam to start with anyway. Yeah, going to get it in position so that I know how far down it goes, and I'll put some masking tape on in the correct position. Because we don't want to have to be guessing when there's epoxy inside and it'll be more difficult to see. Okay, so that's the spot. Just gonna put some masking tape around the bottom here, just to help with the cleanup, but also so that we know how far to hit it down when we're actually doing it with the epoxy. I'm going to do the front beam first because this one's quite a lot tighter, and then the back beam on this boat is really loose, so that should go on very easily. So I thought we'd do that second because it'll be easier. We're also going to epoxy in the side bars as well. Right, just go do the other side. Okay, so now we've marked it up both sides. I've got the back beam on, which is going to hold the boat in position, just loosely. So I'm going to take the beam off, and then we'll get the epoxy in there, we'll get it mixed up, and we'll get it back on. That is commitment. But we've got the resin, West System resin. We've got the slow hardener, because it's hot here, we don't need the fast hardener. And then we've got this adhesive filler, which is the same sort of thing as micro bubbles. We're going to use that to thicken it up. We're using the pumps on the resin and the hardener, which makes it very easy for measuring. Yeah, so we're going to make a paste. And then I had been looking into using some sort of release wax so that then maybe we'd be able to get the boat apart in the future. But I think it, from what I've read, doesn't matter what you do, once you've epoxied it, that's it. Your boat is set for life. And we're going for this level of commitment. All right, let's mix. I think for the front beam, I'm just going to go for one pump of each. Because as we saw outside, it was so tight, I don't think there's going to be any need to go for more than one pump of each. All right, and then for that one pump each, I'm going for half a spoon, what's that, 10 ml of the micro bubbles. That's just to thicken it up, to stop it from being too runny, which make it more difficult to work with on this front beam, which is tight. On the back beam, which is loose, we'll go for a bit more, we'll make it thicker. Here we go. So I'm just painting it onto the inside here. This is the point of no return. Well, I suppose we could still clean it off if we decided against it at this stage. All right, go do the other side. All right, let's get it on. Commitment time. Woo. All right, I'm going to hit the far one on first because that one was tighter. Just be a bit easier to do the tight one first. Funnily, it seems that the epoxy has worked quite nicely as a lubricant, making it significantly easier to actually get the castings onto the pylons. It could almost be a little bit unnecessary to put the bolts in, but it's a kind of belt and braces kind of thing. And also it means you know you've got your beam in the right position. Tappy, tappy. All right. That was easy. This is going to require more strategy because we've got to have the resin in 6 different holes. So this one, and the sidebar hole on the front beam simultaneously, and get them all in before it starts to turn. So what I think, this is my plan, my thinking, is I'm going to get it into these beams first once it's mixed, and then once it's in these beams I'm going to go outside with the pot, get it into the sidebar holes of the front beam, get the sidebars in the front beam, and then take this one out because it's obviously hotter outside, so that's going to make it go off a bit quicker. I'm sure I'm worrying about nothing. I'm sure there's plenty of time, but I just want to be on the safe side that I don't have to flip and clean it all up and start again. Right, I'm introducing to the mix. I thought I'd put in some chopped strand fiberglass just to thicken it up even more, because the cavities, especially on the sidebars, are really quite big, and I don't want to have to just have a big block of epoxy resin in there. That would use a lot of materials and perhaps wouldn't even be, maybe it would be a little bit brittle, so something else in there. Right, so I'm going 2 pumps. 2 pumps, is that enough? Yeah, we can always do more afterwards. Or actually we'll go 3 pumps. Better not to have to do more afterwards. 3. There we go. 3 pumps of hardener. 1, 2, 3. And then before we put anything else in this, we mix it first to make sure the hardener is mixed in to the epoxy correctly. And then we'll start putting our additives in. So I'm thinking 1 scoop micro bubbles, and then just flavour it with some of that stuff. Now, because I'm putting that stuff in the back beam cavities, I just have to be careful not to put it too close to the end, because if that gets pushed up to the top, we might not be able to get the beam down far enough. See, thinking about these things. All right, let's get a scoop. Okay, very nice, juicy. Still a little bit loose, so I think I'm going to put in another half a scoop just to try to get it a bit thicker, so it's not runny. Yeah, nice. This is what I'm looking at. Put it in the comments if you like. Does this look like a nice mix for this? All right, now I'll start painting. I've put these bits of masking tape on the back beat, on where the sidebars are going to go, basically to stop it dripping on the boat. Trying not to drip any onto the boat. Unnecessary cleanup. You know, it's not what I'm into. Now these sidebars have been rattling around in here and they are pretty worn down, because although this boat is a 2014, it's probably one of the most heavily used, this is no exaggeration, one of the most heavily used Hobie 16s, or perhaps one of the most heavily used beach catamarans on the planet. Yes, I said it. All right, make sure, I'm just double checking it is the right way round. And in we go. The angle's going to be wrong just until we get the back beam into position. It's just one of those things, we can't really avoid that. And with the stuff I've got left, I'm just going to put it around the top of the pylons, just so we've definitely got enough in here. See, the back edge of this pylon is absolutely ruined. It's cracked. A lot smaller than it should be. Right, just good. And on the other side, so I can't pick up the camera again, hand's too sticky. On the other side, there's actually a bit of metal missing. So hopefully by gluing the boat together, we'll have given her a new lease of life, where it might not have lasted much longer because there's not much metal left. Gosh, and this sidebar, sorry you can't see this, but it is absolutely mangled. Yeah, good job that we're doing a good job. All right, here we go. Right, it's going to be a little bit of a juggle. Would of course be easier with a little bit of help, but it is good to be able to do everything on your own. Oh yes, she likes that. Okay, so there we go. One thing I didn't mention was I'd put the boat on chocks before I started to get it as square as possible, because maybe once this epoxy is hardened, the boat might have set at a twist, which we obviously don't want. We're not going to be able to test how stiff it is until we've got the new trampoline on, and that isn't coming until after I've been to America. I haven't been to America yet, by the way. Going to America next week. Yeah, so watch the full restoration, or it's not really a restoration, what is it? The full upgrade video of Bad Boy 95 here, which should be out mid-April, to see the full process from start to finish, including cleaning the hulls and stuff, and then we'll see how stiff the boat ends up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon with some more on Joyrider TV.